Hello, my name is Keith Taylor from LBSI. We are an SAP Business One partner with our headquarters in Cleveland, Ohio. LBSI has teamed up with Boyum IT to provide SAP Business One customers with B1 Material Planning, which is another module that is available within the B1 Productivity Package. B1 Material Planning was developed to provide enhanced planning functionality in SAP Business One that is not included in the standard product. Today we are going to be reviewing B1 Material Planning Generation screen. To access the B1 Material Planning Generation screen, click on MRP, B1 Material Planning, and finally B1 Planning Generation. The B1 Planning Generation screen allows the user to set and review the planning parameters as well as to actually generate the planning requirements. The first field on the screen is the forecast code. Our planning generation allows you to also consider any forecast code that has been created within SAP. The next 7 fields are all priority levels: PO priority, sales order, quote, production order, production component, forecast priority, and safety stock priority. In all of these, 0 means that this type of item will not be planned, 1 is the most important priority level, and 9 is the lowest priority. For example, PO priority is set to 1. That means this is the highest priority, and the system, when calculating quantities, dates, etc., the PO priority will be considered the highest. Quote priority is set to 0. That means it will be skipped. Forecast priority is 2, safety stock priority 3, etc. PO days supply. When it's set to 7, this is the number of days to accumulate planned purchase order quantities required by item to create one order recommendation. Production order days supply, the same. This is the number of days to accumulate planned production order quantities required by item to create one order recommendation. PO expedite days. This is the number of days a purchase order line can be late before an exception message is generated. PO delay days. This is the number of days a purchase order line can be early before an exception message is generated. Production order expedite days. This is the number of days a production order can be late before an exception message is generated. Production order delay days. This is the number of days a production order line can be early before an exception message is generated. Forecast consumed before, the number of days in advance of a forecast date that actual sales order demands can consume a forecast quantity. Forecast consume after, this is the number of days after a forecast date that actual sales order demands can consume a forecast quantity. The field allocate inventory through days is a future use field. Dock to stock, this is the number of days it takes to stock the material from the date it comes in from a purchase order or the date it was completed on a production order. Over on the right hand side, plan by warehouse, this determines whether to consider all warehouses together or each warehouse separately in planning. If it's set to yes, then you are considering stock, supply, and demand by individual warehouse only to generate planning recommendations. If it's set to no, you're considering stock, supplies, and demand requirements together from all warehouses when generating planning recommendations. Combined PO quantity for discount. This allows you to combine quantities for the same item to arrive at quantity break price as defined in the BP Special Prices volume discount table. If it's set to yes, this will apply across the selected planned purchase order lines during the creation. If it's set to no, each line will be considered by itself. Round up planned supplies. This is used only when the yield percentage field for the item in the item master and the scrap percentage field on the bill of material roll for an item are used. Select yes or no for this. Production order supply type. This determines which production orders will be considered in the planning generation. Select from the drop-down menu which production order status is to consider. For example, we have it set to all. You can choose planned, released, or all. The production order start date is used to determine which date that you want to use to do your plan of child items. For example, if it's set to yes, the child items will schedule from the parent production order's order date. If it's set to no, the child items will schedule from the parent production order's due date. POU's SAP calendar determines whether to use the SAP calendar in calculating the due date for recommended items for purchase. Production order use SAP calendar, same purpose as the purchase order one. Update projected availability date. This will populate the projected availability data for all planned items. If it's set to yes, you will populate the projected availability data. If it's set to no, the system will not populate the projected availability data. The next four messages have to do whether you want to create messages under certain circumstances. The first one is that the supply warehouse is not equal to the demand warehouse. The second one is if the quantity is less than the economic order quantity. The third one is if the quantity is less than the order minimum quantity in SAP. And the final one is, do you want to create multiple messages for an item? The last field is the number of months used to average quantity usage. This pertains to a field that is on the order recommendation screen. These fields at the bottom just display who the last user was that ran MRP generation, what time it started, what time it ended, etc. Finally, at the bottom of the screen, you have the ability to run this for one warehouse, all warehouses, or multiple warehouses. If you've changed some of the parameters and wish to save them, be sure and click the Update button. If you want to cancel any changes, click the Cancel button. We're going to update it in this example. If you wish to generate, click the Generate button. This concludes our technical presentation on B1 material planning generation. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Keith Taylor LBSI, or feel free to email me, keith@lbsi.com, to receive notices of future videos and technical sessions for SAP Business One.